right, so then we go into 7 Deadly Sins. Do you remember the chapter for this one?
Let me see. It's going to be chapter 225?
225.
If I'm not mistaken.
I'll let you start ahead. I gotta get to the page.
I got you. So, kind of to recap, 7 Deadly Sins. A couple chapters. They've spent a couple chapters before this talking about Elizabeth, because at this point she has been going through, or she's been remembering. She's been going through remembering some memories that she hasn't. Obviously, the current Elizabeth hasn't been acquainted with. So they figure out that Meliodas and Elizabeth have actually been put under a curse, and
well, we find out as a story. The other sins find it out from Meliodas telling them, because they wonder why she's collapsed. Because the previous chapters she came up to Meliodas like, this is happening again, stuff like that. And she collapses, and Meliodas is at her bedside, and he's telling them the story of how he's the Elizabeth. Because remember from a few chapters ago, King and Diana were in the memories of Goliath and I don't remember the.
Oh, was it the giant and the fairy king?
Yeah, the giant. I just remember
Dolor and. Dolor's the giant king, and then...
Oh, Goliath, I think, is the fairy king. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
It's been a couple chapters ago. So
it has. We should have done better, but... So they were in there, and they saw Elizabeth back in that time skip, which was during the Holy War, which we assume now, that was before the curse was actually put upon them. This is still during the fight.
Yeah, 3,000 years ago, they were still like... pretty much heaven versus hell kind of thing going on.
Yeah, so. We have the Demon King, the Demon Clan versus the Goddess Clan fighting. But back to the current chapter, so he starts talking the story about how they were fighting, and one of the best things there is we get to see the Demon King and the Grand Entity, I believe is its name.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, we get to see basically the gods of each clan in this fight, and... Holy crap, did they look like badass. You can't even see the entity's face. Like she's just so powerful, she's so holy, you can't even see her face. And then the God King's just holding this giant sword.
And he's like all black and just like looking like...
You see like thunderclouds behind the Demon King. You see like tidal waves behind the entity. And you could just tell there's no chance in hell or heaven that these two are going to survive this fight. And they don't. They kill them. But instead of just letting them die, they die holding hands. They put a curse on them. Meliodas has eternal life. He cannot die. Even if he does somehow, he'll always return. And
they touched upon it, because earlier in this series, a little bit earlier in this chapter, a couple maybe 20 or 30 chapters ago.
You mean when he died to his younger brother?
Whatever, because they all 10 fought him, and he tried to hold him off just so the other sins could get away.
Yeah.
He died, and there was nothing bringing him back. They took all of his hearts. They did everything that they could to kill him off.
Yeah.
And then you see that he meets the Demon King, and the Demon King takes.
He kind of mocks him even a little bit. He tells him that you will take my place one day. Even though Meliodas tries to do his usual cool kid act, he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
But. And then he gets mad at something the Demon King says I don't remember, but he attacks him, and then that's the end of that. We don't see what happens after that. I assume he gets defeated by the Demon King again.
Yeah, and the thing to touch upon that, what actually happens there is that, the Demon King takes a portion of Meliodas' emotions and tries to make him into, because, back in the day, before Meliodas turned, I guess, to be a good guy,
turned against his clan.
Yeah, he was, the guy that everyone looked up to. He was second in command of the Demon Clan, behind the king himself. He was supposed to be king, so he was ruthless. He was bloodthirsty. He was basically everyone of the Demon Clan's role model. They were you want to be somebody, be like Meliodas. He's the guy to be. Bloodthirsty, ruthless, evil. But he had a change of heart, and
after he met Elizabeth. Which is weird that her name is still Elizabeth, too.
It's just always Elizabeth.
Always Elizabeth. Her name's always Elizabeth, which we're not going to jump into. So, after they get defeated, Meliodas realizes he can't die. He goes around the destroyed world because apparently a few years, 100 years maybe have passed since the Great War. And so he meets up with a tribal woman that resembles her very closely. But if you look at the pictures, they don't look exactly alike. But I guess there's a few differences. But there's also a few things that tell them together. And so his immediate first thought is he goes to hug her, Elizabeth, I finally found you. And the woman like punches him straight out of the head away from her because she doesn't know him, and so he explains that after a while he got to know her, he got to like talk, and they fell in love again, and then that's when as they fell in love, like her right eye started to gain her powers back of healing, but she didn't get her memories back. Only when she gets her left eye, both eyes can turn into the goddess clan, that she will remember the entire past. And then it shows a scene with them like together, her talking about now that Elizabeth actually is resurrected. So Meliodas has eternal life. Elizabeth is resurrected every few years. So
yeah, but then like they figure out.
Well, it's not that they figure out. It's more just that in 3 days after Elizabeth gains her memory back, it's always 3 days. Meliodas confirmed this. She dies in front of him, and so he loses her. And this has happened, I think he said 106 times, and this is the 107th time right now with Elizabeth. Every time he's met her, she's gained her powers back. When she gets her memories back, she dies 3 days afterwards in front of him.
I think that is
a tragic story. Like, Romeo and Juliet is put to shame by this.
Yes, this is good. Like, I just want to comment on the storytelling. Like, that's excellent storytelling. Just like you have your hero, and he has a truly tragic past. He has to see his loved one die 106
times. The one he
times.
turned against his clan, his future, everything, and he just sees her die
106 times. Like,
and the worst part is he has to like meet her. She doesn't remember him, so he has to fall in love with her every single time. But
okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to talk about how the promise that he made her, because they were talking about that, because I think that's what she said before she collapsed, was that the promise that she made Meliodas give her is that he would one day break the curse and just let them die together finally, instead of having to go through this hell every single time. But what were you going to say, Ben?
No, I was going to make a point about just I forgot. I'm sorry.
Forgot?
Yeah. And like, okay, I remember now. So like, whenever they were talking about the Demon King, like trying to take away a part of his personality, like this is how he's gonna do it. Like, because you lose someone you love, you obviously go into a really deep place, and you just have to imagine 106 times seeing the person you love die in horrible ways, possibly 106 times in front of you.
And he's lived for 3,000 years, so this has been a very long time. I still want them to touch upon the time when he was working with the other kingdom, the one where he made that giant
Danaford.
Danaford, I really want them to touch back on that, because that seems like the time when he really lost it, which was kind of weird, because when we saw that, we just thought that maybe the girl that kept coming back was just someone we just kept falling in love with, but then we find out in this chapter that it's Elizabeth over and over again. And even the way she died back in Danaford, the same way she died in the flashback as the tribal woman, she died with someone piercing something piercing her through like her chest or her stomach or something, and that's super tragic. So
I have a theory for that. I think the reason why he lost it is because one of the other 10 commandments from the Demon King clan,
the one that was possessing Griamore before this.
I think he saw that like it had personal stake in killing her at that time. So like he said, "Are you actually going after me, like Demon King? Like, are you actually doing this to me on purpose? Like, because like it seemed it was a curse, and he understood it was a curse. But to see that like the Demon King actually went out of his way to send one of his like 10 strongest captains to kill her, but just to spite Meliodas.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was I don't remember the demon's name. I'm just gonna call him Griamore for now. Was Griamore? I can almost remember it saying that he wasn't, because he wasn't as strong as the other ones. He just possessed
Yeah, it was one that possessed Dreyfus. I completely forgot.
I don't think he was a commandment. I think he was just an underling, because he didn't have a commandment. They never said he did. He wasn't like...
Okay, I think it was just like... He might have just been like saying that he was a 10.
I think he was just a demon that like followed them, but he was only powerful because he had Griamore's body, who was one of the holy knight captains.
The 2 strongest holy knights,
Yeah, so... I don't remember, but if not, let us know. But I just don't think he was. But I understand what you're saying. Like, he went after him, like, personally.
So
because even he tells him, like, Meliodas is like a demon to the demon clan themselves. Like, he is the cursed child, the black sheep. You don't talk about Meliodas. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. Is there anything else?
So he took it personally. And
he took it super personally, and his wrath kind of showed there. And that's where he got his sin. Which also was funny because... I'm sorry we keep going back to this chapter. But... Back to the chapter where he met the other Elizabeth from the Danaford kingdom. Remember when they first met? She was just like, cause she was a slave, and Meliodas like freed her or I think bought her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which, but he bought her. And she even asked him, "Why did you free me or buy me? Are you going to use me as like a sex?" He's like, "No, I just wanted to free you." Never gave her an explanation or nothing. So now we know it's because he saw Elizabeth again and he wanted to free her from her captivity. So this chapter was like one of my new favorites of the Seven Deadly Sins. It just gave us a lot of exposition. It makes like the entire story almost click together.
Yeah, it gives like really good depth in the characters of Meliodas and Elizabeth, and like also it shows like Bon. Well, if you haven't read it, it's like Meliodas' like best friend, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Because like, oh sorry.
No, you continue.
Yeah, before this, like Bon was like really getting into Meliodas. He said like, "What do you know about losing to someone that you love? What do you know about this?"
Oh, I almost forgot about that. That's true. Meliodas didn't even flinch, didn't get mad or anything.
Just smiled. He just kind of smiled him off, and like now Bon knows that like Meliodas has seen the one that he's done
this for 3,000 years, and Bon's only had to experience it for like once, and he at least got her back for now.
So like you see like kind of like the effects that it has on like everyone.
You can even see Bond's face as he's just like, damn, I'm a piece of shit.
Seriously,
I tried to kill the captain for mine. I see that. I forgot about that. That is a good point.
It does like I think another thing it does is like kind of unifies them around under Meliodas.
It reminds everyone because even every one of them is like almost in tears thinking of it, except for of course the sin of gluttony,
Merlin.
Yeah. She's the only one, but then again, Merlin's past is also intriguing because she's affiliated with the demons, but we don't know if Meliodas knows about it yet.
I think him and Merlin. I don't say like they would have had a relationship, but like a relationship.
I would almost say like because I think they might be like children of the Demon King. That would make sense why that one commandment feared Merlin when she told him what her actual name was.
Yeah.
And why she has like one of the most overpowered magical abilities in the entire universe of Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah. So I think at some point like she found out like whenever she first saw him and she recognized that this was Meliodas. She said, "Hey, I'm Merlin." Like they shared like what's going on, and then she joined this cause because
she too has some grudge against the Demon Clan, as we can tell,
and she also has something to protect
with Camelot.
King Arthur. So
it's King Arthur, which I'm also very excited for. They need to hurry up and flesh him out too. He is very, especially with that cat. That cat is, that cat is.
And like like King Arthur, like as we know it, outside the manga world, like it's like one of the most interesting.
He's like one of the most popular, just legendary stories with him. He has the Holy Sword Excalibur. It's.
So like, there's a lot to do there, and like, I would just hope that like they flesh that out.
They do.
More. That'd be cool.
I'm pretty sure they will. But the chapter ends with everyone crying over his bed. He tells them that to break the spell they're under, or whatever you want to call it, he has to gain the power of the Demon King and the Grand Entity. And not even exactly that, because he doesn't actually have to kill both of them, or just get some like measure of that power. So his plan is to go after Zeliodris, which is the Meliodas lookalike.
His brother.
Because he's technically borrowing the Demon King's power right now. And we don't know how he's going to get the Grand Entity, which I speculate is going to be from the horn in the castle. Because besides the sword that, I can't remember his name now, the holy sword that had the angels trapped in it. Yeah, no, it's we're not gonna get stuck on that, but that sword. So I'm gonna assume the horn that Bond talked to, that promised to give him back his loved one if he killed Meliodas, would be how he gets the Grand Entity's power at least. Because maybe even the one that was talking to him from the horn was the Grand Entity itself. It would make sense,
like a direct line.
Because if you think about Christianity, like the horns of God, like signal the apocalypse.
That's
so
true,
it would make sense that the horn is where the goddess clan can call from the humans. But so we figure out he has to get those powers, and they go to the temporal distortion in some land. I don't remember its name either. But they get there, and Zeliodris. Yeah. Okay, that's the better way to say it. I'm saying like a stupid, like, okay, but Zeliodris. I can't even say it when you tell it to me. It's so hard.
It's
I'm so bad with names, but yeah. So they find him, and without even thinking, Meliodas jumps at him, and that's when the chapter ends. So, all right. Once again, Ben, what are your thoughts on Fairy Tail? Seven Deadly Sins.
It's good. It's good progression. Just you get a really good feel of
Yeah,
character
definitely one of my favorite chapters now, like the entire series almost.
good progression, good character development, good writing.
Art's beautiful.
Beautiful art, of course. I like the art style because like it's kind of it reminds me a little bit of Dragon Ball Z. Like, kind of like the eyes and like kind of the way that they fight.
Yeah.
But like it's unique in that like it's the author's style and like it's or the artist's style and like it's just the way that he does it is really well. Or he does it really well.
Yeah.
And then another thing I really like about it is like it's good. It's really good setup. So you know like every time they set it up something this well, at least in the past, it was always a good payoff at the end. So like
yeah. So the next chapter is with Meliodas fighting Celadris, which is the one he needs to fight to get the Demon King's power.
So it's like good is like getting this done early, and it's
yeah. I didn't think it would even be this early, but yeah, like he's jumping into it full throttle. We're gonna see it. So we still have a long ways to go with the story. So, but we also have a short time because Elizabeth has 3 days left to live.